Winter is the season of the holly. When the fields lie bare and the branches stand stripped against the sky, holly remains, dark green and thorned, bright with berries as red as blood. It has long been a tree of midwinter celebrations, protection, and old superstitions. It is a tree of contradictions, of ghosts, blessings, and winter's haunting touch. I have always been fascinated by the holly tree, not only for its place in Yuletide tradition, but because I have always known her as a fairy tree. Where I live, winters are generally quite mild. We don't typically have snow, although it has happened once or twice. Only frost and a cold that settles quietly in the midwinter dark. Yet the evergreen holly still holds a place in my heart. It is said that an abundance of holly berries foretells a harsh winter. I have not yet had the chance to test this piece of folklore myself, but a neighbour's holly is heavy with berries this year, so perhaps we shall soon find out. Already there have been some bitterly cold days, but I fear the climate has changed irrevocably for us to experience the truest of winters. There is a story, popularized by Robert Graves and later modern pagan writers, of the Holly King and the Oak King in endless battle, a cycle of winter and summer, death and renewal. Yet to me, the holly feels more like midwinter's queen, Frau Holle, in all her glory. Midwinter was once considered a dangerous time. The longest nights belonged to wandering spirits and the restless dead. Holly stood watch over the season. Its branches hung above doors, windows, and chimneys to ward off darkness, witchcraft, ill fortune, and even lightning. Planted near the door in the garden, holly was believed to bring good fortune to the household. Yet holly was not always considered entirely benevolent. While its evergreen branches were brought indoors for protection, its delicate white flowers were often thought unlucky to bring into the home. The holly, with its martial associations, can also be turned toward more aggressive purposes. In folk magic, holly could be used not only for defense, but also in workings intended to strike against an enemy. The berries are poisonous, yet holly has been associated with everlasting life, sacrifice, and protection. Christian folklore associated the red berries with drops of Christ's blood and the thorny leaves with a crown of thorns, one of its names being Christ's thorn. In some places, holly was even known as the devil's tree. Others called it bat's wings. One year I made a charm by sewing felt bats shaped like holly leaves and stuffing them with the leaves so they could be hung by the door. I no longer have these old charms, but I hope to remake them sometime soon. In my own practice, holly is a hag, one of those ancient winter crones who appears again and again in folklore, fairy tales, and dreams. It was once believed that a wild holly should never be felled or burnt, lest its spirit be angered and bring misfortune. In parts of Ireland and Britain, holly was counted among the fairy trees. To damage such a tree risked offending the spirits believed to dwell there. Holly has long been used in divination. One old charm instructed a young woman to gather 9 leaves, tie them into a handkerchief with 9 knots, and place them beneath her pillow in hope of dreaming of her future love. Whether spirit, fairy, witch, or simply story, the holly remains one of winter's most mysterious trees. Evergreen through frost and darkness, standing watch long after the leaves of other trees have fallen. And perhaps on a cold winter night, if the wind moves through the branches just so, you may hear old grandmother stirring among the leaves. Here is a poem I wrote for her. It is said that there is a hag who lives in the holly tree. They call her grandmother. She has storm-grey hair and blood-red eyes, and a nose as crooked as wind-torn branches. It was said that you could never take a piece from the holly tree without that hag say, or she would surely follow you home. Every nightmare, every accident, every bad little thing, you could be sure it was her haunting you. If you wanted a branch for a spell or some other charm, you would have to ask grandmother first, and if she refused, you would have to walk on and leave her be, and never come to the holly tree again. Sometimes you could ask for a boon, and she would grant it, but it always came at a price. If you wish to invoke this holly hag, go at midnight and go alone. Find a lone holly tree and ask grandmother for what you desire. Leave always a drop of your blood. If she lets you, take a branch and hang it on your bed for protection and good luck. She will grant your wish, but remember then that you are in her debt. Every midwinter you must go to the holly tree and leave a drop of your blood, from now until your own bones are as crooked as hers, and your hair is storm-ragged, and your heart as bitter as berries. And when you die, a part of you will always remain with the tree, and you too will become that old grandmother, the hag of the holly.